Angry Andy Reviews.
Angry Andy.
Angry Andy Reviews. Angry Andy Reviews. Angry Andy Reviews. Angry Andy Reviews.
Don't make me destroy you.
Hello and welcome to Angry Andy Reviews, and welcome to yet another episode of Sharing the Silver Screen. This time it's my choice of movie, and the ever-present Mr. Spider-Dan of Spider-Dan the Secret Boars podcast is here with me. This is our shared endeavour, whereby we share with each other a film that the other person hasn't seen. This month rather, it's featuring on my channel, and then the next time it will be featuring on Mr. Spider-Dan's podcast and his YouTube channel as well. And this time, I have chosen the movie Signs by director MNightShyamalan. God, I hope I'm saying his name right.
Shyamalan?
Yeah,
I'm
something.
going to say Shyamalan.
Yeah.
Please correct us in the comments.
Yeah, there you go.
Phonetically.
If we've buggered up already, please let us know.
We try our best. But
Absolutely.
What can we do?
Yes.
I've just released a podcast on the City of Lost Children from Forbidden Words Film Festival that me and Mike did. I realised that not only did we mispronounce one of the directors' names, we didn't even mention the other director. So I've made that aware. We've made that aware in the show notes. Oh, we were very tired. We stayed on the podcast, so we do apologise. but we did mostly enjoy that film. So go and check that review and video out. There's a video version and an audio version. But yes, don't worry. We'll apologise in front of it. We'll get ahead of this, Andy, before we, anybody complains or anything.
Before the chaos reigns down.
They're all going to come for us like the creatures in this film, I'm sure.
Yeah, absolutely. So yeah, it's an alien invasion movie starring Mel Gibson, and it basically follows a widowed reverend who has basically lost his entire faith, and he lives on a small farm with his children and his brother, and before they know it, they are besieged by creatures from another world. And yeah, it's the third film in Mr. Shyamalan's sort of what I call the first wave of weird mystery thrillers. And we were talking just before, weren't we, about really how unfairly maligned this film is. And especially for me, I think it is quite unfairly maligned. But before we get into sort of diving into the film, what did you think, Mr. Spider-Man? What are your thoughts on this? Because you've not seen it, obviously. You've heard bits and pieces.
Yes.
I think by virtue of the fact that the film's been out for about 25 years, you've had some measure of spoilers, haven't you?
Yeah, which is fine. Like I understand. We've talked about it before. Like I'm okay with some spoilers here and there, and it kind of in a way it's unavoidable to a degree. But I understand people who want to avoid it. Fair enough. But I think eventually something's going to sneak into your algorithm, or your viewing or something, or a YouTube video. So yeah, I knew a few things. I knew it was about crop circles. I knew, the cast. I knew it was by MNightShyamalan. I knew about the big jump scare bit that was quite famous. The kind of thing going on. I knew about the wife dying, because you get these weird YouTube videos that pop up, and they're like, oh, man says goodbye to his dying wife. Spoilers for the film. Man says goodbye to his dying wife, and you're like, they don't tell you what film it's from. It just starts playing. It just comes up automatically. Yeah. And I was like, what the fuck is this? And I was like, oh, that's Mel Gibson. And I was like, started watching it, and I was like, oh, this is actually kind of good. I was like, I kind of got engrossed, but again, it's obviously like fucking some like clickbaity bullshit. And I was like, what is this? And then I was like, oh, it must be. I think I figured it out eventually.
Yeah.
I think it flashed back to kind of modern day.
Is it Scary Movie 3 as well? Charlie Sheen.
Oh yeah, they do that. Yeah,
that movie absolutely picks on this
film as well. Yeah, there's a lot.
I think, just for me, I think that's where a lot of the unfair criticism comes of Signs, because that film, everyone just... scary movie films, they absolutely take the piss out of everything, don't they?
That is another reason why I've kind of avoided it, is because I've seen The Happening, I've seen a few other of his films that are, and I think there's stuff in here, there's tropes and trademarks of Shyamalan in here, which I'll be honest, I did enjoy this. I really enjoyed this. It really gripped me. I thought it was funny. I thought it was entertaining. I thought it was creepy. It was weird. What I will say about it is it's a film about being off balance. You know, and feeling kind of out of sorts, and not really feeling quite right, or a sense of that your mind's maybe being messed with, you know, potentially by these aliens, and you know, and the paranoia and the conspiracy theories and all this stuff, and just being in kind of a almost like a neurodivergent family that all have their own kind of, you know, idiosyncrasies, which is a big Shyamalan thing that, you know, do you like hot dogs, you know, and all this. All this kind of bullshit that he does. You know, I've heard about a lot of his films, like Old, I've heard it's not great. I've heard Last Airbender was not good.
Why I refer to this film as being part of the first wave, because for me, up until The Village, you know, the Village included, they're like the first 4 movies. So Sixth Sense, Unbreakable, this, and then The Village. I think they are, by and large, very decent movies. After that, it completely falls away from me. Completely falls away.
Goes downhill. You know, I like The Visit. That's a later one from him that I quite enjoyed.
Never seen it.
It's a found footage film about kids and weird, creepy grandparents kind of thing going on. But saying that, so I love Unbreakable. I think it's a superb film. That's my favorite of his that I've seen. I think that is just incredible. Sixth Sense I saw years later while knowing the twist. Even though I knew the twist, I still very much enjoyed the film, and I think that sometimes is a good sign of a film, is even if you know going in what that twist is, because that's his thing, isn't it? That's his kind of trademark. It's like,
We'll talk about like sort of the like, because this film's got some decent shot composition. I think great shot composition. The Sixth Sense has the same. It utilizes camera turns and you know, long corridor shots and things like that to really emphasize horror, and we get that in this film as well.
Oh god, yeah. There's so saying that it's a film about being off balance, I think this film is so perfectly balanced that I think if one thing was off about it, the score, the performances, the you know, anything, you know, the cinematography, the lighting, whatever you want, you know, whatever it may be, I think if any of those things was off by a hair, like a hair inch, I think I'd not like this. But
the thing is, how can that really be a criticism?
Exactly.
If it's done so well.
Exactly, and that's why I really enjoyed it. It had me kind of gripped and invested, and I got quite emotional during it as well. I got, you know, there's again, spoilers for the film, but there's a scene where I think it's Rory Culkin is having an asthma attack, and not too long ago I had a similar experience. I'm pretty well controlled. My asthma's it's not as bad as other people's. It's not as debilitating. I get by quite easily. I can work around it. But one night I went to a friend's house, and he had a cat, which I think I've been fine with. But I decided to walk home, and there was this. All of a sudden, I just was my chest was just I couldn't breathe. I just and this is only maybe 6 or 7 years ago. I think now it maybe a little bit more, but I just got this intense feeling that I just couldn't breathe. I didn't have my inhaler with me because I didn't think I'd need it, but I was like desperately in need of it, and I was like, right, I've got to order a cab. I've got to get in the cab. I've got to get home. And the guy in the cab was like, I'm taking you to hospital. And I was like, don't take me to hospital. I can control it. I can control my breathing and calm down, and I can manage it until I get home and get the inhaler, which is what they do in this film. And I was concerned maybe because I knew about that a little bit. This kid has an asthma attack as well, and I wished it wasn't like, you know, he calms down and then he's fine. But no, they do it quite realistically for people who have asthma.
He's wiped out for the rest of the film, basically.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Well, that's one of the reasons we'll get into as well, why things work out the way they do. But he still he still needs his medicine. You know, they don't just go, he's fine now. It's
in Lost.
Yeah.
Remember, Shannon in Lost. She didn't have her asthma medicine at one point, and then they put some, I think, whatever it is, some tropey fucking
Vicks Vapor Rub.
Vicks Vapor Rub, and then she's perfectly fine until she gets killed off in the show. Spoilers.
There you go.
It's like, as a former asthma sufferer myself, that was always with Lost. It was a bit like, give
not
me a
right.
break. Unless you like me, I grew out of it.
Hmm.
I grew out of it. I didn't think I would because I suffered quite badly when I was very very young. I think I was in hospital a few times
Yeah.
as a very young child, 1 to 3. So again, I'm the same boat as you. I appreciate the fact that it's quite realistic. I've never had an asthma attack
Hmm.
from what I can remember,
Yeah.
like from being a young child onwards. But it was
Yeah.
always there. It was like you didn't take your fucking medicine. You're
Yeah,
stupid.
exactly. Yeah,
Doing
exactly.
PE at school and playing football. Why have
Yeah.
you not taken your blue inhaler? Why have you not done that? Getting shouted at.
Yeah,
And then
exactly.
I just for whatever reason, just grew out of it. And people
Yeah.
do.
It
But
does. It
the
happens.
point is, like you were saying,
Mm.
it's very realistic. It's very intense, and it's
Yeah.
a very vital part of the film as well. It's really well
Yeah.
done.
I will say this as well. Again, kind of spoiling the
I
end
mean,
of
we're
the
going to go into spoilers, aren't we?
Yeah.
Let's
If
be
you
fair.
haven't seen Signs, we're going to
Yeah.
spoil it. It's over
Again,
20 years old now at this point, so
exactly. And like you said, it's been spoiled not just by the internet, by
parodies.
memes of Joaquin Phoenix's shocked, viewing of the alien creature in Brazil.
Mm.
It's been spoiled by fucking scary movie franchise. So it is what it is. We'll be talking spoilers from here on out. But just watch along with us, I guess. But we'll be jumping from
watch
here,
it.
there, and everywhere, I guess.
Watch
but,
it. Oh god, completely forgot what I was going to say now.
The asthma thing, sorry.
The
Yeah,
asthma
yeah.
So with that as well, like I will say that this film, I think, expertly does. It's the best use of Chekhov's gun I think I've ever seen.
Yes, I was going to get into that.
Yeah, because again, we talk about it. We're like, the film is pointing because it's a big marker when a film is going. This detail is important, or this item is very important, or why are we focusing on this right now?
Yeah.
Why are we focusing on this right now? And you go, well, okay, that's going to come up later. That's going to be important. There's that bit of information, that object, whatever it may be, will serve the plot and will come back, into it. And there's a lot of films that do it quite, like I know you're not a big fan of like clunky exposition and stuff. And I think sometimes laying that a little too thick can come across really, really poorly. But I think this, because I know kind of Shyamalan is kind of known for his quirky characters and these little things, these little eccentricities and things, and the kind of odd, like weird, dialogue that he has, and and trying to get this information across. Sometimes he can do it quite clunkily. I think in some films he'll have a kid come over and say, "What's your name? What's your occupation? And how old are you?" And then the character just has to go, "Well, I'm this, I'm that," which is kind of like, okay, we need that information. And usually that's their one thing. They're like, I'm a mathematician, and or like Mark Wahlberg is like, I'm a teacher, I'm a scientist, and constantly goes on about how much he's a scientist, but never really shows anything. Knowing anything about science.
That's the difference between this film and say The Happening.
Yeah.
Because in this film they trust the intelligence of the audience.
Yes.
Because they have us the cop who basically tries to give us the plausible answers.
Yeah.
We then have the military man when Joaquin Phoenix is when Meryl's sort of like thinking I'm going to join the army. He basically goes, "This is an incursion. This is this." That we're getting different ideas in a non-expositionary way because we're getting characters sort of saying, "Well, I think it might be this. I think it might be this," and then we have this idea of maybe it's faith. We have the conspiracy theorists. I think they're trying to sell soda because I've seen 12 fucking soda adverts this morning. So I think it's conspiracy. We have them within the quirky characters, within the side characters, and they only appear within two or three scenes at the most, and then these characters are gone. The vet, who is the person responsible for the death of Mel Gibson's wife, in the film. We only see him twice.
Yeah.
Apart from maybe 3 times we see him at the crash. We see him when they're having pizza. And then we see the fucking great scene, the absolutely perfect scene when he goes to his house. And again, we were not overburdened by these characters, and we're not overburdened by them giving us exposition. We're given what their theories are, because his theory is, I think they don't seem to be anywhere near water, so I'm going this way. And don't open my pantry because one of them's in there. And you go, what the fuck? Yeah. And it's very much the point. It goes, this is this, I'm gone.
Yeah. And all the characters, everything we learn is there for a reason. You know,
Yeah.
I criticized recently like Daredevil Born Again for having like too many
Yeah.
extraneous characters that
Yeah.
are not
For no
really there.
reason other than to take up screen time.
Exactly. No, they're just purely there so Matt can go out and do his vigilantism, but he still has money and a job and somewhere he
Yeah.
can live, basically. And I think they're good actors. They're just there's nothing done with them, and they don't have their own arcs. They don't have their own storylines. All these characters are there for a reason. Even the kind of bully guy, the guy that Joaquin Phoenix went to school with, is there for a reason. That
Yeah.
you know. And that's the kind of theme of the film. Like, we get to the end, and this is what I was saying about the Chekhov's gun. Every scene is there to provide the necessary tools and information that they need to survive this encounter.
Yeah.
You know, be it the wife's death, be it the bullying, be it, you know, every bit of information and object and things that we learn throughout the film has cause and effect. And that is the theme of the film. Is, you know, is it signs from God, or is it just luck and chance and quirks of chance? Which is, you know, comes to the end, and in a very odd way, you would think that maybe learning of extraterrestrial life would make you doubt your faith, would make you be like, well, God created us in His image. Who the fuck are these guys? You know, and
Exactly.
maybe they've been created in God's image, and we're some, you know, evolutionary fluke or something, or chance, you know, quirk of chance, or whatever they call it in the film. You know, but that's what's kind of wonderful about this, is it does the exact opposite for
it
Mel
reinforces
Gibson's.
and enhances his faith. It brings his faith back. And we were saying before we started filming that Mel Gibson, this film, well, I'm not going to get into his personal demons, whatever it may be. I like him as an actor. I really like him as an actor. Yes, things have been said, things have been done. We're not going to get into that because we got heavily criticised for talking about morality and whatever in our discussion about Zulu. Fine, fair enough. You know, sometimes we have to bring things up. But with this,
you've got to contextualise things a little bit, at the very least.
And with this was filmed obviously way before any of that. To be fair, well, probably just before. To be fair, and I think within this film, he's playing a character that you wouldn't ever see him play. I don't think anybody ever saw him play anything like this, you know, prior to this movie, and he's able to sell every single moment of it and more. And when you see him have this crisis, and you know he's playing everything so introspectively, and yet there are those outbursts. There's that outburst when he says, "I hate you, you know, don't do this to me again." When he's trying to sort of like, you know, reason with this God who he sees as having abandoned him, and then is putting his family in the position where they're being besieged. It's extremely powerful. And then, like you said, when he has that opposite reaction to it, it doesn't take him further away. It brings him back and then reinforces it and makes it stronger.
Yeah,
I think it's fascinating that, and it does sort of. This is what the great thing about this film is, and I think again we talked about this before we started, is that this sort of seems almost like a very plausible way that something like an alien invasion could happen. It wouldn't be big and, you know, huge. I mean, it probably could be. Who knows? It wouldn't. For me, it wouldn't be like Independence Day, big, bombastic, and whatever. Because if that was the case, we wouldn't see it coming. We'd be fucked anyway.
Yeah.
But it would feel like an incursion. This film makes it seem plausible and like terrifyingly realistic, because there's loads of nuggets within the film of them saying, well, you know, is it have they run out of resources? Have they come here for a specific reason? And even when the film's going towards an end, we don't see anything of the wider impact on the world. We just hear it, and we do hear, oh, they used gas, some people being dragged away, and then all of a sudden, you know, we found something primitive to use against them. It is almost like this family unit is in a desperate situation, and these existential beings, this existential threat, are also suffering with a desperate situation. They've come here to enslave and to withdraw resources and then fuck off. So they haven't done their due diligence as well. And you get that sort of opposite effect. It's perfect when you have science fiction meets, religion, marries up so perfectly and gives you, you know, a resounding, perfectly feeling ending rather than just feeling like we blew them all up and they're all fucking gone.
Yeah, exactly.
Like praise America. It is so small, and yet it feels so impactful for the characters.
I remember I went to see Arrival when I was in Thailand with my dad and everybody who was there at the time with us, my sister, and she came up to me at the end and I was like, "Did you like that? I really enjoyed it." And she was like, "Why didn't they just blow up the aliens?" And I was like, "Well." I was like, it's not Transformers or Independence Day Soviets. It's a film about communication, and time travel, and working out differences and figuring out each other. Like that's the interesting side of things. Like if you want those films, which I enjoy those films, and the fun you can have with them. But that's not what this film is about. It's not like they're an alien, kill them. It's like what can we offer them? What can they offer us in terms of friendship and technology and shared understanding? That's interesting. That's why that film works for me on so many levels. I think that's a fantastic film.
Fucking great movie.
And this is great in its own way. This kind of, and I'm glad it kind of because it gives you like glimpses of what's going on, in India and elsewhere. I did feel one point was like when the TV was on and they were like, somewhere in Afghanistan they figured out how to beat them in some barbaric way, and I was like, why don't you just tell people? Why don't you just tell people what it is? I
think that features into the religion side of the film, the theme of religion, because I think what the line of dialogue is from the TV at the end is three small cities figured out together that there was something an ancient weapon we could use. I think that in itself is a bit of a nod to religion. So ancient, I think the small cities,
holy water and stuff.
Yeah, so Bethlehem, Jerusalem, and Mecca. Maybe I think I remember reading a long time ago something along those lines suggesting that. And again, that factors into what you were saying about the Chekhov's gun, about them using water as a weapon.
He likes water, doesn't he? He likes water. Shyamalan seems to focus on water a lot.
Yeah, because I think the thing with it is that it gives life and it takes it away as well, doesn't it? It's we need it, but it's also our greatest enemy in a way, isn't it? Because we can't go in the frigging sea, and the depths of the sea are terrifying, and whenever it rains, we're really pissed off. So it's But like you say, with that being the Chekhov's gun, and with religion, this film plays it in a way where it's saying this is the absolute reason.
Yeah,
it's all to make you think: is it holy water? Is it are these aliens actually demons? I don't think they are. I think they are aliens.
Yeah, I think so too.
Yeah, I think what was fascinating is like I was saying about them being forced to come here, do a small incursion first, figure us out. Like it says in the film, they're here, they're scouting us, they're figuring us out, they're testing our weaknesses, they're seeing what we react to, what we notice. And then they reveal themselves and they invade. They do it with such speed and ferocity over the course of what is probably only a few days, that they don't do their due diligence properly enough. And we see it with military engagements in the past, Vietnam and things like that. They went in, all guns blazing, and didn't realise they didn't do the due diligence on the fucking jungles. How are we gonna fight in the jungle? I don't know. We've got helicopters. Tanks don't work. Or we'll just helicopter people in. It's a very similar thing with this. The aliens come in and go, we need these resources. We need to capture some prisoners and take them with us. Which they say in the film. Some people were taken away. They tried to take resources. So they don't do the due diligence. They don't lay the groundwork and go, this liquid, we don't need that liquid, it's fine, because we've got our liquid back home, whatever it is we use. But then they don't realise that's their fucking Achilles heel, that's their weakness. So, but the film plays it in a way where you go, fucking hell, is it holy water? Because the film is so intensely built upon faith, and then we have Bo, who is this child without sin. She's completely innocent. She knows grief. She understands it. She's been through it, and yet she still has that innocence where she's carrying, the weight of all of that but instead her primary concern is looking after everybody else. She's so worried about everybody else that she doesn't think introspectively of herself, which is why she's without sin, because she's not thinking about herself at any point. She's thinking about everybody else, which is why the whole theory of it being holy water sort of fits.
Sure.
It's so wonderfully simple, and yet crafted so incredibly deeply.
Yeah.
You can't help but have these conversations, with these theories about the film. And I think for me, fundamentally, that's why it still works as a really great film, because, like you said, it fucking fits. It all tracks.
Yeah. It all works, and just it's all there for a reason. It was like we were saying with John Carpenter when we did Memoirs of an Invisible Man. What he did best, I think, is exemplified in this film as well. I think there's a lot here that there's no fat on the bone. That it is lean. It does what it needs to say. It says what it needs to say. It's surprisingly funny as well. Considering I loved him when he's like, let's go out and swear and scare him off. And
you want me to curse?
He's like, what do you mean? What do you mean curse? What do you mean? What do you mean this? He's still, even though he's not the pastor
get angry. I'll get angry and I'll shout. Okay, but we need to go.
I'm raging mad. Ooh,
I'm insane with anger.
Exactly. And I love that, those kind of little weird, because Mel Gibson's known for these really angry and visceral and emotional performances, like Lethal Weapon. I love the Lethal Weapon films. And Riggs as well. He's very raw and emotionally raw, and there are moments of that here, but it's all also that he's kind of the family's kind of coming apart, and but him being, he's still this pastor, even though he's like, I don't want to be a pastor. I've not been one for 6 months.
Please don't call me father.
Please don't call me father. And there's that moment where he goes into the chemist, and there's the girl she's afraid it's the end of the world, so she wants to kind of redeem herself, and she's like, here are all my sins, father. And he comes back into the pizza.
Well, she says something about what curse word is it? Is that a curse word? And he goes, yes, it is. And she goes, well, it's not that, it's this. Then this amount.
Douchebag, that was it. Yeah. It was douchebag. It was like, depends on the use of the word. And he's like, yeah, that's a curse, yeah. And then he goes into
this. It's more like 100 times, and he goes slowly deteriorating.
He goes into the pizza parlor and just says, I don't want anybody hanging out with that girl ever again.
On your own.
Off screen, she's clearly said some horrific shit.
Nobody's going to spend any time alone with her again.
Yeah, and in it's Ray Reddy, I think, is M. Night Shyamalan's character, the vet. He goes into his house. He's locked the creature, the alien, in the pantry, and he's like, I'm with the police now, and we've got a paddy wagon gonna take you away. And he's like, paddy wagon? What am I saying? Like, so cheesy and corny.
I'm with the police. I am the police. I'm a police officer.
I'm with the police, who I am a policeman, by the way. I love those kind of like awkward little moments, and they sell them really well. Like, it doesn't feel like some
they're not gagging for laughs, are they? Not trying to draw a laugh out. It's those little lighter moments that sort of almost lull you into a bit of a false sense of security, because literally immediately following that is when he's fucking opens the door with a knife.
That was the jump scare that got me. Yeah, it's like, it cuts the fingers off, and I was like, fucking hell.
I remember watching that when we first got it on DVD fucking years ago.
Yeah.
I think it's 2002, this thing, isn't it?
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah, so it would have been, bloody hell, over 20 years ago. When we got this on DVD, and we were watching it, like me, my mum, my dad, we were watching it, and that bit happened, and all of us fucking went through the ceiling. It was like a Looney Tunes cartoon.
Yeah.
Like literally, straight up. Terrifying. But again,
I think it's because he walks away. He walks away, and you think, he's going to leave, and he's like, no, I'm just going to fucking do it. And then he does it.
Yeah.
And I was going to say this as well. I know M. Night Shyamalan is not a fan of CGI, and was not a fan then of CGI. And I think the way they depict the aliens through like blurred images and reflections, and and the kind of their skin is like a chameleon almost, I think is far more effective than showing like a weird little green dude. The kind of they're somewhat they're kind of a bit Hulk colored, or a little bit gray, a little bit green, which I kind of like. There's kind of somewhere between the kind of classic big head alien design.
Oh, you just cut off then.
Yeah, I don't know what's happened there. Sorry,
It's still recording.
Yeah, it's still recording, but
I can cut it.
It's bad. Fuck's sake.
Don't worry.
I'm insane with anger!
So the aliens decided to impact upon the video there, and we're fine now. We're all fine. How are you? So yeah, we're talking about
It's all the transmissions getting into my head.
We need to get some of those tinfoil cones that they wear.
Fucking hell, yeah.
Again, what we're saying about like light-hearted moments. That's a very simple light-hearted moment, isn't it? We have the kids wearing the tinfoil hats, and Mel Gibson's like, "What are you doing?" And then they read the story and terrify us a little bit. That Dr. Bibu's book or whatever it is.
Bimu or something,
Yeah. And then later on we see Meryl sat with them reading the book wearing a tinfoil hat as well.
I love initially he's like, oh, these virgins who can never have a girlfriend, just making crop circles and stuff. But then
he becomes one of them.
He's just as he's like, oh, they can play with your minds. They're doing this, they're doing that. They're fucking about with stuff. But he absolutely like makes a swift left turn into the kind of weirdness.
Yeah,
and I think he's great in this. I think all the cast are good in their own way. I think even M. Night Shyamalan, who's not really an actor, but I think his role in the film is pivotal, as we've talked about. And I think he delivers that scene really well. And I think Mel Gibson is he's really like working that scene. He says absolutely nothing, but you can see it. You can see everything that's going on in his eyes, what he's working through. Yeah. And I'm glad it's not like, because the obvious thing to do would be that he would be mad at the guy and he would be angry.
Yeah, confront him and be shouting and whatever.
He'd be wanting to punch him and stuff. I felt like when I saw that clip years ago, I remembered that he was having an affair with the wife or something, and I was like, but that was not the case. And I kind of prefer that, because that's very a very tired
it's
trope.
literally just a 1 in a million
and also
chance accident, isn't it?
And also he's not a drunk driver, which I liked as well. Again, I watched Orca recently again for Forbidden World, and that's the standard kind of trope is that, a drunk driver killed my wife and I'm now bitter and twisted. And he's not bitter and twisted. He's a loving, caring father who's he's struggling with it. He's struggling with his faith. He's struggling with losing his wife. And
but you know what I find fascinating about that scene is, and to be fair, I only picked up on it and I watched it again the other day. When Ray says, "Hi, Father, thank you for coming. I hoped you'd come." He doesn't correct him. He doesn't say, "Don't call me Father, Ray." He doesn't correct him. He just says, "It's okay, I'm here," or something along those lines. So, my pleasure. He falls back into it. This is a man that he should absolutely hate, and he does. Yeah. But when it comes to quite obviously that Ray's having some form of crisis, he doesn't hesitate to go over. He doesn't even flinch. No. As soon as he gets the call, and he's like, I think Ray's just tried to call me. Yeah. Immediately goes out. Yeah. He said, "Nobody else leave the house. You all stay here." And he goes. He doesn't even hesitate. Yeah. And that is that's the mark of the man who, yes, his faith is being challenged. He's having a crisis. His family's splitting. His brother wants to go and join the army. His son doesn't love him anymore and wishes his father was somebody else. And his daughter, he can't understand what his daughter's going through. He doesn't know how to get his daughter out of this malaise of putting glasses of water everywhere. He doesn't understand it. He can't comprehend it. Doesn't see it as anything else but, she must be having some sort of crisis herself. And yet, in this moment, he's steadfast and he goes and does what he's been trained to do and what he knows is the right thing to do for this person, to go and listen to him. And he does. Like you say, he asks him if everything's okay, and then he listens to what Ray says for the entirety of the thing. Barely says a fucking word up until the point where Ray goes, "I wouldn't go back into the pantry, Father, because I'll trap one of them in there." And then he goes.
Yeah.
It's a great scene. And again, it's the thing, I always have it. The power of writing is not necessarily words on the page. It's what's being said and what the reactions are, because you can get reactions from good writing, even if somebody's not saying a fucking word. And like you say, in that scene, you can see that Mel Gibson's working it. Facial expressions, the eyes watering as he's listening more, the licking of the lips, the sort of, uncomfortable sort of movements when he's got his hands on the windscreen. There's obviously that thing there where he's saying, like, I could rip this door off and drag his ass out of the car and fucking beat the shit out of him. but he's not. There's something else that takes over. It's that, that previous life that he had takes over as being a father, as listening to somebody in crisis. That takes over. That's why it's such a fucking fascinating scene.
And it's strange as well. It's kind of the conflicted nature of him is that he's not when he's at home, he's not that man. He's not that person. And when he has the conversations with his family, he's like, "What did you not expect that answer? Do you want me to comfort you? Do you want me to talk about this?"
Yeah.
And they challenge him. He's like, "I don't ever want to hear you speaking like that again. I don't ever want to see you without your faith and hope." And the Last Supper that they have. He's going, let's have all the food that we want, because he doesn't believe they're going to survive it. And he even says that to Meryl. He goes, "You didn't think we were going to survive the night." And he was like, "No, I didn't believe it."
Yeah.
And it gets to that finale, and that and again, not much is being said in that Last Supper scene, but it's so effective. It's so effective what Mel Gibson is doing. Say what you will about him personally, but he can deliver when he needs to deliver. He can do that, and he nails it, and that's why we loved him as kind of Martin Riggs, is this kind of raw emotion that he can bring forth at a moment's notice that you need it, and they don't, none of them want to eat, and he's like, "We will eat this because we deserve it, we want it, and we're going to enjoy this meal. We're going to sit down as a family, and we're going to be a family, be a unit." And I even I love all the characters in their own ways, and even the military guy looks like Bill Hader's dad. I thought he's almost like a Bill, like it felt like the way he was speaking as well, very Bill Haderisms. I thought he could be.
He barely blinks, does he?
He's just got that big wide-eyed intensity.
This is what I was saying about the side characters. We don't know what happens to them. We don't know their fates, which is a great thing about this movie as well. It doesn't glamorize anything. It doesn't go they don't all rally together. All we know is a lot of people die. Some in the world. We hear it very.
We don't know if those
people die.
Yeah, we don't know if those other characters survive. We don't know what happens to them.
Yeah.
The
sheriff survives.
I love the sheriff.
The army guy survives. Yeah. We don't know if the bully survives. We don't know if Ray survives. We don't know.
Yeah,
we don't hear
those
anything.
Teenage kids could be dead as well. We don't know about them.
All we know from what we hear the radio transmission at the end of the film is that yes, we won, but it was with heavy losses.
Yeah,
heavy losses.
Absolutely.
Like a lot of people were taken, a lot of people
harvested
were
and
killed. That's all we know.
I thought that was a nice word that they used was harvested, because of all the crop circles and the harvest and stuff. I thought them, because it's like we're just like them. They're putting these signals in our crops that we would harvest, but their crops are human beings. And so I like that kind of symmetry there as well. And I know it was there's a lot of kind of inspiration from real life kind of extraterrestrial events, and also like M. Night Shyamalan's stories about, how Bo was born, how can't remember Rory Culkin's character's name, but how he was born. That's how his children. That's the story of his children being born. So clearly, it's a very kind of emotional kind of film for him. It's and it is visceral. It's intense, and it's touching, and it's scary, and it's very like the score I think is fantastic, and the way it's kind of just
it's terrifying, the score.
Yeah, it's off kilter.
But again,
it feels so strange and unusual, and that's exactly what it needs though. It needs that eerie, unnatural feeling to it. But I think it's fantastic, and call me Ace of Base, because I finally saw the signs. And I should have seen it so much sooner than I have. But I'm really glad that you brought this to our attention. We were there was a poll going last year. I think we spoke in the last episode about whether or not this was going to make the cut, and it didn't. But I'm if it did make the cut, I think I like District 9 as well. I like this a lot as well. So either way, I think I would have been I would have been very happy. I'm glad you brought it back to the table, for us to watch, because I think it's superb.
In a sort of selfish way, I'm kind of glad it's one that we could watch and discuss between the two of us, because I think what strikes me for this film, the storytelling is great. Like I said, I love films about aliens because it terrifies me, in a way, that existential feeling of there being something else in the universe. I am a believer in that regard because purely on a mathematical basis, I don't see how it's possible that we could be the only fucking intelligent things in this universe. Yeah. I'm not saying the right next door or the next fucking star or whatever it may be, but that being alone terrifies me more than the idea of there being another, species out there somewhere else in the galaxy, in the universe, because that, I think, again, that factors in with the idea of faith, isn't it? I'm not a religious person, and like you were saying here, it's wonderful how they marry together, because I think in terms of faith, the idea of being the only things in the universe, surely that doesn't marry with faith either, because that can't be the possibility.
Well, I mean, with aliens, that they often ask, "Are you a believer?" I was asking that during the Alien Month. Are you a believer? Because it is kind of, because we've not got any proof of aliens. We've got no, we like to think scientifically and probability wise, mathematically, that there should be some intelligent life other than ourselves in the universe. But yeah, it is you could argue it is just as much a leap of faith as believing in a higher power or a god, or Jesus and his miracles, or whatever faith you may be part of. Could be just as that there is that similarity. There is that symmetry, if you will, of are you a believer? Do you believe in those things? So yeah, I think it makes kind of perfect sense, even though they seem like very, very different things. I think there is that similarity there.
That parallel, isn't there? The parallel of having faith in a higher power and having faith in being something else that we can talk to, if you like. But yeah, you could argue. You could,
I'm kind of agnostic, really, in the grand scheme of things. There's very kind of adamant atheists out there, which is fair enough. That's you can believe that, but I think faith in science is still faith, isn't it? You know what I mean? Like, there are still things that are unexplainable. We don't know what is at the bottom of the ocean. We've not gone that far. We don't know.
That terrifies me more than fucking aliens as well.
I mean, they could be aliens in their own right. And there's a lot of films about aliens in the deep water, the abyss, or sphere, or whatever you want to talk about.
Cloverfield's the one with the giant monster. That's It's a creature from the deep, isn't it?
Yeah, there you go. Like we don't know what's down there, or we don't know what kind of life is down there, and that's and we've explored more of space than we have of the ocean, which is arguably more terrifying. But yeah, I think there's definitely something there and something to be discussed, and the film is thought provoking. While being very entertaining, it still has some very interesting and unique ideas, and and it's kind of a shame we didn't get more of this Shyamalan
because I think it's a shame on quite a few different levels, because I think we were broaching around the area, but it's not just the way it's written, the way it's scored. The shot composition in this
gorgeous
film is something else entirely. Like the scene in the pantry is perfect example of that. It's low, it's tight. You've got quite wide shots, especially when he walks away and then turns around and comes back. They're quite wide angle shots, but the low, the tight, they give you that sort of claustrophobic feeling. But at the same time, you have this weird, eerie sort of open space to it all. Yeah. This film does feel very tight, and yet we do have the big area where all these creatures come from, the cornfields, even the cellar at the end of the film. It's tight, yet there's still spaces within that where things happen, and we do get the jump scare there as well. I think it's the quality of that sort of shot composition. My favourite shot is when Mel Gibson's in the cornfield at night. He's got the torch.
Yeah.
Fucking great scene. I absolutely love it when it's coming from all sides, and then he drops the torch, doesn't he? And whacks it back on, and you see that long shot. Goes on for ages, and you don't notice it at first until the leg turns and walks into the cornfield. Fucking terrifying.
Yeah, I think
It gives me the heebie-jeebies, and that's the best way I can describe
Yeah.
it. It's the heebie-jeebie shot
Yes.
because you go,
Yeah.
like it's not a jump scare.
spine
Because
chilling.
immediately
Yeah.
your eye is drawn down this dirt path in the cornfield to the far distance because of where the light is at the end, and yet the leg turns and walks away, and you get the little doodle-doon, doodle-doon pipes up, and you go, oh, fucking hell! It's literally just the heebie-jeebies. I think that's what this film does so well for me, is it plays those camera shots, whether they're long, against this subtle sounds, and like the crickets when they chirp in and chirp out, you go, oh fucking hell, they stopped. Something's going to happen. It plays
The
light.
walkie-talkie stuff, I love all that. The
Yeah.
sound design, I think, is fucking incredible as well.
Exactly.
I
And
love the sound design.
I think when Mel Gibson sees that leg, he sort of jumps up and runs, and the camera doesn't immediately cut away.
No.
You see him fucking blitz
Yeah.
down that dirt path,
Yeah.
and it's the long shot for that is perfect. You got the moonlight.
Yeah.
It's
For me, the two.
so clever.
For me, again, the Brazilian jump scare and the home footage,
Yeah.
it's that's good. But because I've seen that so many times, the other jump scares are so much more effective. So for me, it was the one under the pantry door and that one that were the most effective for me. Again, there's other moments in that. I think the one in the cell is quite good as well. I think that goes.
Yeah.
That's like my third favorite. But yeah, it's just superb. And that moment, the moment where they're talking to Bo and they're boarding up their house, I think is really cool. And you see through the slits of the window, and they're saying, "Oh, when Bo was born, this happened," and they always see him like a little angel. And then it drops down as Meryl's boarding up the window. It drops down past the board to the next gap, and we see Bo. It's perfectly heighted for Bo, and Mel Gibson speaking to her directly into her eyes, and and he's trying to convince them, and he's, even though he knows deep down, he knows they're not going to make it out, and that's why he has this Last Supper. He knows, or he believes, that they will not make it out of this situation, even with all the information they have and what they think, and superb. Like you said, it was all this, again, kind of what John Carpenter does best as well. These kind of, they set up the location. It's this, wide open space, like The Thing, there's this, but there's this intense paranoia and claustrophobia and fear of, with those shots, and the camera work makes you feel that. And that's why it was so kind of gripping and intense. And couldn't say it better myself, Andy. I thought this was an absolutely banger of a choice, and kind of restored my faith in M Night Shyamalan.
Yeah, but like you said, it's what comes later on down the line, isn't it? I think I don't. To be fair, I couldn't really put a nose on, what happens in terms of his filmmaking style.
Sure.
None of them really impact in any way after this film for me. I don't mind The Village.
Sure.
Don't mind The Village. I think it's perfectly fine. It serves as part of that first wave, like I said, of mystery thrillers from him. But following that, I think it's when you look at this film, and again when you look at Sixth Sense, because Sixth Sense is again, it's so well written, it's so well shot, and again the music in that is so impactful. The way that it plays with your perspective, especially when it comes to the reveal at the end of The Sixth Sense, where camera's been focused on specific points throughout the movie, and then we pull away and see what we're actually supposed to see, what the character in that film doesn't see. Spoilers, but again, for God's sake, it was 1999.
Sure.
It's this film does the same thing. It holds position of cameras, it holds positions of showing us the family as they are in that moment. And it never lets go. It never lets go. There's no sharp cuts unless there's something happening in terms of like the jump scares or anything like that. It is literally just this is what we're seeing. The camera sort of drifts along with these people as they're sort of separating and coming back together. And I don't know what it is that happens here on after. Is it complacency? Is it too much budget? Too much pressure?
Yeah.
yeah, I don't know. I haven't enjoyed.
Something goes to, the fame goes to his head,
Yeah,
popularity goes to his head. Maybe I don't
I'll
know.
just be straight up and say I don't think any of his films after this, and with respect to The Village, are actually any good.
Hmm.
And it makes me sad because at one point I think again you mentioned was maybe before recording,
Yeah.
referred to as the next Spielberg or the next Hitchcock and things like this, or the next Kubrick or whatever. In terms of the way he plays horror and the camera.
That is a lot of pressure on anybody, I think. To be
Exactly.
fair,
So, is it a result of that? Is it a result of studio mandates? You must do this. With the lady in the water, they must do this. You must do
and the
Last Airbender.
yeah.
Why?
The thing about this for me as well is it doesn't really have per se a twist. Like people are like, oh, it's the twist, it's the twist. It's not really a twist because we're being told everything throughout the film. We're being and it's only hammered home the message when we get to swing away, Meryl. Swing away. That's when it all kind of comes together and all the pieces, all the Chekhov's guns, the various pieces of the picture come together in this wonderful jigsaw, and then we again, and that ending does not disappoint. We get that. We're like, we're absolutely like, yes, Meryl, swing away, let's go, let's fucking go. And he goes through it, and you want that for the characters. You want that. You want to believe in God in that moment. You want to believe in those signs. We want to believe in it's not just plain luck. You're on that journey with Mel Gibson. You want your faith restored, and then there is that moment. You're like, he believes that Rory Culkin's character is going to be okay because his lungs are closed. He can't inhale the gas, the poison air that it squirts in his face. He was like, no, this happens for a reason. This is it. And even all the other characters are like, no, he's dead. And they've lost their faith in the moment, but he's regained his. He was like, it must. The reason we have these, the reason we have all this information, the reason we've survived this long against this threat is because we've recognized those signs. We finally had that restored, and he's like, he's gonna breathe, and he's crying, and he's like, no, I believe, and eventually he wakes up, and he's like and he's there, and they give him the epinephrine, and they give him some the inhaler and stuff, and he's back, and he's like, wonderful. Even like just so much of the scenes are so like disconcerting, like the death of the dog when he has to kill the dog, and I love the sheriff as well. I think she was fantastic. I think it was originally a role for a man, but they changed it, and I think it adds something to it. Again, it's not a romantic relationship, but I like that. There's that moment where Meryl's there, and the sheriff's like, I'm really glad you joined your brother and you moved in with him. And he's like, I don't know if I'm really helping. And she's like, no, you are. You were definitely helping. You're present. I thought that was a lovely little moment. And he goes off and he questions whether he should be there, whether he should join the army, whether he should do something else. Maybe he could be more useful elsewhere. Fantastic. And another thing I really like is, from the get-go, it's kind of Aliens. Like, from the get-go, you're like, what I love is that it doesn't like go, well, could it be or could it not be, or
No, I think that's the thing, isn't it?
Yeah, you pretty much know from the get-go, but the characters are trying to rationalize that it's not, which I appreciate. And I was like, we know it can't be broken like that. Kids can't do this. It's happening all over the world. It's all this other stuff. There's too many of these kind of coincidences where it's like, you absolutely like, it doesn't waste. I do like films that don't waste any time. Like we know it's about aliens, we know it's about crop circles. Let's get fucking going, and it does, and it world builds fantastically. Much like, I didn't think I'd be comparing him to John Carpenter so much, but because we've done that podcast so recently, it's so fresh in my mind. And that's exactly it. That's why it works so well. It has. You're
right in the midst of them straight away, aren't you?
Straight away.
You know exactly where your position is with every single one of them, and we get that build up of identity for all of them as we meet them.
It earns that ending, and so many films don't earn their endings, but I feel like this one absolutely does. and
Yeah.
you benefit from remembering and recognizing those little moments, those little things, those little breadcrumbs. And when you get to that, swing away, Meryl, you're like, oh yes, fuck yeah, I'm here, and yes, I've spotted it too, and I've noticed those conversations. And it was interesting as well. Like, normally you get that flashback, that tragic backstory in one kind of lump. You would just go, this is the tragic backstory. But I like that they kind of chop it up a little bit. There's 3 different kind of sections where they bring it kind of gradually, and you kind of know it's coming. You know what it's about. You know what happens. But I think stretching that out and giving it to us in chunks makes it all the more effective. And then when we get to that final moment again, which I love, it's so well earned. It builds and builds and builds to that crescendo that absolutely 100% earns. I remember you saying before we recorded that the ending was fairly controversial to a degree at the time.
I don't think in terms of controversial. I think just in terms of people sort of lamenting the ending purely because of the use of water. I think I briefly sort of talked about it, like saying, well, the thing with these creatures is we don't know where they've come from. So I think a lot of the problem was where people saying, oh, well, it's just holy water, and that's how they're defeated, how simple. And I disagree. I disagree purely upon the basis of what we've already talked about. Like, we don't know where they've come from. And there is the theory, because M. Night Shyamalan doesn't really reveal any theories about his films. He doesn't admit to any theories. What you see is what you get, okay? It's up to you to uncover the mysteries. Sure. And the mysteries are on the nose. Sure. Once you see them, you see them.
That's not necessarily a bad thing.
They are aliens. Yeah. I think he's come out and said that they are aliens. They're not demons, but it's still open to your interpretation because of what you see in the film. And I think a lot of people just latched onto the fact that they've been defeated by water. Really? Oh, that's rubbish. But for me, it is that thing of we don't know where they've come from. Yeah. We don't know what their intentions are apart from taking.
I think there are stupider things. I think weaknesses and stuff. But the original Green Lantern was, his weakness was wood. The next Green Lantern, the Hal Jordan version, his weakness was the color yellow. There's and they're still very popular characters, it's. I think that doesn't quite literally doesn't hold any water with me, that argument.
Yeah, but I think it's because of because the majority of the Earth is water. How could they not know? And I think like I'm saying to you, for me, it's the idea that these creatures, these aliens, are in a desperate situation themselves. Yeah. Which is why the officer, the recruiter says, this is staging, the planning, they're encouraging, they're testing our weaknesses. They're not testing theirs because they are here to take as much as they can get, and move on. Kind of like Independence Day, but their only goal is to literally subjugate the planet. Yep. Take everything that they can, and then move on to another system. It's the same thing here for me. Where they're here to harvest as much as they can and then use that for their own benefits. They're not necessarily here to take the world. No. If they were, they wouldn't be hovering in the sky waiting. They're literally... That's what it is for me. It is literally just that they're so desperate. And like I said earlier on, in terms of fighting in Vietnam, didn't do the due diligence, and it cost them. Because it cost the war in Vietnam, if you want to go that way. Not understanding your terrain effectively enough, not going, hang on, what's all this liquid? Don't worry about that. We're not interested in liquid because that's not what we're harvesting. Yeah. That's what. But it's for me. Yeah, there's a logical thinking. That's what it is for me. They've gone. We're not interested in that liquid. We're only interested in these people and these other resources that they're fucking utilizing themselves. Whether it be technology, whether it be metals. Or whether it is just a case of they just wanted to kill some of us and use our bodies and then take the rest as slaves. That's the wonderful thing about this film. It doesn't give you any explanation, but I think that's what sort of worked against it and created a lot of negativity about the end, is that because we just went, oh, so it's holy water? Yeah. Oh, okay. That's kind of what drew up those negative remarks about the film was why they made fun of it in fucking Scary Movie. It's like, oh, you didn't tell us why.
Yeah.
Well, for fuck's sake, if we have
they're
to tell you
allergic to
why
it.
for
It's
everything,
fine.
then you just become a boring fucker,
It's
don't
like
you?
it's like we don't do well with fire. We don't need to explain that. We just
Yeah.
our bodies just don't like fire. They don't.
Yeah.
They're not designed to withstand intense heat.
Yeah,
Like their
exactly.
bodies are not designed to, with liquid. It's that. It's as simple as. I don't need to know why or the wherefores of it. I just go, they don't like it. It's fine.
Yeah.
It's not. It makes sense. Like it makes sense to me. It's just different species have different.
Yeah.
So
I think it is because of the shock that the alien has when Meryl hits it and
Yeah.
the glass falls and it kind of it recoils, doesn't it? I think
because it fucking hurts.
exactly. So, yeah, that's what it is for me. I think it is just a case of they didn't do their research, and it cost them.
Yeah. Yeah.
In
I
much
agree.
the same ways that poor planning equals
I thought.
piss poor results.
Yeah.
It's the same thing. I went for an audition fucking years ago. I didn't fucking research the theatre that I went to. So what happened? I got called out on it and I lost the audition. I didn't do my fucking research on the environment, the place I was going to. What is this building? What does it represent? It's the same thing here for me. They didn't. What was this liquid? Ah, fuck that. We're only interested in this bowl of cereal.
Yeah.
Oh, okay then.
Yeah. And that's it. But that's the reason Bo has that. She's like, oh, it's contaminated.
Yeah.
It tastes old. It doesn't. That's why she.
Yeah.
And you must put them away. You must put them away. Again, it would be. In another film, it's just a weird character quirk. Which I appreciate in its own right. You can have Tony Stark doesn't like things being handed to him. It doesn't massively affect the end of Iron Man. Him not be, but I liked it because there's a little thing, there's a little detail that you can enjoy. But with this, there's a reason for it. There's a need, and it's necessary for them to again survive this encounter. I thought you were going to say like the final shot of the film. I thought that was going to be the issue, is that him putting on his kind of. Is what do you call them, vestiges or whatever the putting the collar on, the dog collar on again. I thought that was quite nice and subtle. That
I think it is
because normally with a film it would be like, oh, he looks at the collar, there's this intense look in the collar, there's a shot on the collar, and then he like slowly puts it on. Han Solo getting his fucking dice or some shit. It's I didn't need that. It's just like no, back to business as usual. It's very subtle, very just. You see it. You can see even from a distance. You can see he's in the outfit or the uniform, whatever you call it. I don't know what you would. The holy robes or whatever. Holy whatever.
I think with that, it's interesting to note that some time has passed.
Yes. Yeah.
Because it quite obviously turns. The outside is very much a snowscape. You can see the snow, the purity of snow, and all of this kind of stuff.
Are down.
So, exactly. Yeah. So. We know with that final shot that some time has passed. Yeah. So obviously, what that means in terms of what they've gone through in the next 6 months, because we can assume it's 6 months. Yeah. What happens in those following months, the ramifications of everything they've dealt with. Planetary wide, even small in this small town near Philadelphia. Where has it all come to? Where have they got? They must have got to a point where he's re-embraced everything. It's not a case of he's just put it back on.
It's not the next day.
No, exactly. So there's nothing there for me that I consider being controversial. I think it would be the natural next steps because he has, as a character, had his faith restored. Yeah. What that truly means for him is only something that he would know. We just see it as it is. Everything's happened for a reason. Is it luck? Is it faith? Is it a combination of both? I think that's what the film presses really well. There is that moment when him and Meryl have that conversation about luck and faith, which is again fucking brilliantly set, brilliantly scripted, brilliantly performed, and that's the whole crux of the film. Is it faith? Is it luck? Is it a combination of both? Can we have both in this universe? And for him, quite clearly that is the case. So. It all plays together, and I think that's what that final shot represents. It's him embracing everything that he'd lost and regained, and then the luck of having his family around him, this family unit. It's that luck of having everyone together who was able to work together to overcome this absolute fucking nightmare scenario. So yeah, I don't think there's anything controversial there at all. I think it's a wonderful, simple shot that just tells you exactly how it is.
Yeah. Again, I didn't see it at the time. I can't remember what was said about it at the time. It was just because you said something about the ending just before we started recording. I was like, I wonder what it is. So I just started trying to think what it could be. The water thing is the water thing. It just is, it is what it is. Read into it as much as you want. Read into it as much as you don't want. Are they humans from the future that have come back and they've evolved into those creatures? I don't fucking know. I don't fucking care.
That's what seems to be the running theory about UAPs at the minute. They're time travelers. I do listen to a couple of podcasts around that. I actually listen to a podcast where they're all Christians and they talk about conspiracy theories and aliens. It's really good. Cool. So,
But I think I'm really glad you picked this one, and I'm glad for having watched it. It's come off my list. I've updated the list, Andy. Don't you worry. There was quite a few on there. I hadn't realised I hadn't. There was a couple I had seen quite recently and forgot to either review or to just take them off the list. But I've done it now, so it's all up to date. And so it's a lot of stuff. A lot of stuff I watched over Christmas, in fact, or when I was home recently. But have a good scour for what you want me to watch next.
Oh, I will. But as we do with this one, I mean, I don't have anything further to say on this one.
No.
But as we do with this joint endeavour of ours, the sharing of the silver screen, the next pick for the next movie lies firmly with Mr. Spider-Dan. And now, we say in every episode, the next episode will be on Mr. Spider-Dan's podcast and his YouTube channel, Spider-Dan and the Secret Boars podcast. So I guess the time is now for you to reveal what we're going to be undertaking next. And you said, I'm going to call you out. You said before we started filming that you hadn't thought about it.
I hadn't. To be fair, I have been so busy with so many other things. I've come back from Forbidden Worlds Film Festival. I'm constantly editing or mastering audio or doing stuff with the video. I just dropped the City of Lost Children video today, so you can watch that or you can listen to the audio version. They are shorter than usual, probably about half an hour or so, maybe to an hour. Me and Mike just sat in our hotel room. We had a great time over there. Very busy, but exhausting, but in a good way, like really. And we had a good time. We met some great people, and just a great experience. And we've got some cool little things we've not quite revealed just yet that will be coming up. So keep your eyes peeled on both of our channels. Again, much like this, we're sharing the content. So if you want the one half of my stuff, you've got to come to me, and the other half will be with Mike. So go and check him out, and Andy will link him in the show notes, I'm sure. But yes, you know what, Andy? I did decide as we came on what I wanted to do, but then I changed my mind again halfway through this podcast. So halfway through this video,
a crisis of faith.
I did. I was like, "Can I do this? Can I do this?" And I'm going back to what I originally had planned initially. I think after Waking Fright, we've got to have a bit of fun. We've got to have a bit of fun now. We've got to lift our spirits. We've got to restore our faith in the human race and in some fun kind of wacky genre films. So this film was actually shown at the Forbidden Worlds Film Festival at one of their Halloween showings, and they had an introduction by the director. It was something I considered came very close to being included in Alien Month that we talked about again today. So we are going to look at something alien, but it's going to be something quite different, very tonally different from this film. So we're going to look at 1987's The Hidden, which has been described as The Terminator meets Invasion of the Body Snatchers.
What the fuck?
And
I'm just putting it now.
Yeah, and it's
Cal McLachlan.
Yeah, it stars your favourite, Cal McLachlan, which I thought you'd appreciate. You get a very small cameo by Danny Trejo as well.
Nice.
But yeah, very action-packed, very bombastic. Lots of car chases, gunplay. Some real interesting kind of buddy cop scenario going on as well. I won't spoil it too much. but
it looks wild.
it is fucking wild. I'll tell you that. But I think it's something that we can, be a nice change of pace, similar, but something a little bit different. And yeah, I think that one's gonna be a lot of fun for both of us for me to revisit. I only saw it quite recently. Got it on Blu-ray not so long ago. And yeah, it's a blast. Who doesn't like an alien that loves heavy metal music? It doesn't. But yeah, I'll say no more. I don't want to spoil all of it for you. Yeah. But I think we'll have a bit of fun with that. Again, nice change of pace, similar yet different from what we've looked at and what I chose a little earlier on, and from Zulu as well. So yeah. I think that will be. I think a lot of people will enjoy that one, or revisiting that one as well if they haven't. But go check it out. It's one I very much enjoy. It's not one of these bad films that I'm going to force you to watch. I don't think, in my opinion. I think it's just fun, raucous, good time, action, thriller, with a slice of sci-fi in there, and some great practical effects as well. Really gooey stuff going on. So yeah, I think you'll have a blast with it.
Oh, sounds good. And Cal McLachlan's got wavy hair.
He does. He does. He's got more than that, but we'll get to it. We'll get to it.
Oh, that sounds ominous. Nice. Yeah, sounds great. So yeah, there we go. That will be the next film we discuss.
On my channel.
Yes.
Make sure you come over to me. Don't complain to Andy where this video and podcast is.
Nobody complains about that. They just complain about what we're talking about.
You're too moral. You're contextualizing it too much. How dare you? You've got to contextualize it at least bare minimum.
We're joking,
yeah,
obviously.
Of course.
I appreciate every comment that comes through, even
absolutely.
if it is negative, because it is what it's the nature of things.
Yeah, exactly.
We're only a small.
Just our opinions. Just our opinions.
Couple of channels here. We're not massive channels, so we do take comments as they are. Somebody commented about my Mission Impossible review the other day.
Oh, go on.
And it was about Rebecca Ferguson's character in the previous one.
Right.
I don't want to spoil it, but
I've seen it, so you're not spoiling it for me. Spoilers for Mission Impossible.
Yeah, spoilers. The fact that she was killed off. This guy was just like, I don't want to see this shit because
she's not in it.
Off. And then there was about 40 odd emojis at the end. I was just like, I replied to him, I don't think you've used enough emojis. There's a reply on there, but I've not looked what his reply is.
We'll have to find out.
Well,
I might have to have a look. But
take it as it is.
Yeah, but I heard her explanation for it, and I think it's valid. I think it's a valid explanation why she didn't continue, which is fair, and that is what it is. But yeah, I did miss her in the last installment, the final installment. But it's not as good as kind of the previous installments, I think. But I still had some fun with it.
Yeah, exactly. But anyway, there you are. So, just before we end, obviously, my channel, if you're here watching, you know it as it is, and hopefully I'll have a review for Ballerina at some point.
Ooh, yeah.
And then possibly the new Predator animated thing. I'm not quite sure yet. Depends how I get around to it. And that's just the way it is. But Mr. Spider-Dan, what have you got planned? What's coming for you? Obviously, you said about Forbidden World.
Yeah, I've got all the Forbidden World stuff coming up. Scott Weatherly's going to come back. I'm recording a new page of Apocalypse on Tuesday, so we're going to be looking at Astonishing X-Men, I think it was. So yeah, that'll be nice to get
in the focus over the next couple of years.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, the artist is who drew that issue or those issues is coming back for a new series to do variant covers, so it is quite relevant actually at the moment. It is its 30th anniversary as well, which makes sense. So yeah, lots more kind of Forbidden World stuff. Just keep your eyes peeled for that. They're going to come out periodically on Mike's channel, my channel, and I'll start trying get back to normal while still trying to do those. Very busy, very tired, very exhausted, but I'm gonna. And then we've got band movies month coming up as well. Me, Tonya, Andy's going to join us. I won't tell you what yet, but Andy is going to join us for something. And yeah, a good range of films and a good range of reasons for them being banned. And Tonya will be my co-host. But yeah, we're still organising that, and as soon as I know more, and we have organised something, and maybe hopefully we'll get. I'm hoping it's going to come out maybe August or September at the very latest. Otherwise, I might have to delay it potentially. Maybe November. I could probably do November. Maybe I can push some other things back, but we'll see what happens. We've both got a lot on, so we just have to figure out the logistics. But once we have, you'll be getting lots of great content. Not that you're not getting great content at the moment, but there's more on the way.
Sounds good. Sounds good. So, yeah, there we go. I think we can draw this one to an end, can't we? We can slam the door shut and put the boards up and embrace the existential threat is gone. But there you go. There was signs. So we discussed something. So I think we will leave it there. What do you think, Mr. Spider-Man?
I think so. I think we've covered it as well as we could with all the trivia and trimmings. Yes, let's escape, much like the aliens do. Let's retreat. Let's retreat from all the let's retreat from Mel Gibson. Let's do that.
Yes, I'm sure we'll talk about him again in the future.
I'm sure.
I think you've got another one of his films in your list, but I'm going to peruse your list.
I'm sure you
right
will.
after we're finished here. But yeah, we'll end the discussion there. So thank you very much for watching. If you enjoyed this video, please do give it a like. Leave a comment, like so many of you have done before. Let us know your thoughts on Signs. Let us know your thoughts on M. Night Shyamalan. Did we say his name properly? I don't know. I don't think anyone knows. But let me know what you think about his endeavours before this movie, after this movie. And again, if you enjoyed this video, please do give it a like and subscribe to the channel for more reviews and discussions like this. We will be back again for sharing the silver screen. Until then, thank you very much. Bye-bye.